Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, one and all, to Drawing Expressions, live streaming here on YouTube. I'm Parz Satva. That was Parz Satva. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for making this live stream part of your creative journey for the next hour or so. Excuse me as I take a sip. Now, before we get into anything at all, I'm just going to say that this is a live stream, which means that any and all of my 5 cats could potentially make themselves part of the show. So, yeah. Anyway, they're a little bit more energetic today. Well, hopefully everything is going to be fine and cool and dandy and copacetic. Okay, with that, let us move into the things that you should know as we move into today's live stream. And the first thing that you should know is my oft repeated and will perpetually repeat guidelines bend, rules break. We are Casa del Guidelines. That's what we do here. So just anything that you hear, if it doesn't make sense to you, don't do it because it's a guideline. Really, you know, guidelines. Okay, class structure. Today, we are going to be working on the prompt The Future, which is the Moss Piglet prompt for the December issue. Their submission deadline is the first Wednesday of any given month, and so the future submission deadline is the first Wednesday in November. I think that's the 6th, but I'm not entirely sure. Look it up. Don't trust me. The last thing to know is free expressions. This is the our open art time. We are here every week, and so we hang out, we create. Yeah, it's just, yeah, we are just a happy little community that hangs out at Free Expressions. Anyway, before we go into the meat of the thing, let us move into the breathing and the stretching portion of the program. So, to put us into a writing frame of mind, let me invite you to square breathe along with me. That is where we inhale for a count, and I count 5 because 5 is easy. And so we inhale for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 5, and hold for 5. So let me invite you to join me in this exercise. Here we go. Breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in. And a stretch. And exhale. Good. All right. I'm feeling good. Let us move on to our planner section of today's class. And I'm just going to move me into this first. Okay. So what I want to do before getting into the actual writing of the story, I just want to show off, do a little show and tell why it is that I keep bringing up Moss Piglet and publishing with them, because I keep mentioning it. So why? So this is, just get it a little bit closer to the screen. I'll bring it back. Okay, there we go. So this is the Moby Dick edition of Moss Piglet, the October, as we can see here on the date. And this is, just for size, it is a good-sized publication. and it is like full of color. Let's see if I can sort of do a little flippity-do. Let's do it this way. So all of the lots and lots of writing, lots and lots of, you saw the comics there. There's poetry, stories, people's memoir and whatnot. And then here is my submission. The Right Whale Was the Wrong Whale, a song. And yeah, it's something else. I mean, I showed off in a prior live stream where you can take like haiku and instead of having it be very blocky and left justified and just sort of a normal font, what you can do, even just with center justification, italicizing and playing with capitalization a little bit, it becomes something else entirely. And it's nothing to this. And this is all done by the publisher, John Bloner Jr. He just does a fabulous job. And a thank you card came along with the publication as well. So it's just, it's amazing. And I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of this? That's why I keep talking about it. That's why I keep mentioning it. And that's why I'm going to keep encouraging people to look into, you know, get a subscription. Even if I'm not submitting in any given month, or I haven't had a submission that's been accepted, it's a wonderful publication. It's a work of art. I highly encourage you to look into subscribing. So, okay. With that, let us now move on to working on the December submission, which is, or for the December issue, first Wednesday in November, the future. Okay, here we go. So let's go over to the future. Okay. And where we're going to start is just contemplating the future. And that really is the only prompt we're working with here. Moby Dick was 2 months ago. Patterns was last month's submission deadline. So patterns will be coming out. And by the way, I've got work that will be in there, as will Alicia. So if you're looking to have another reason to get the patterns issue, the November issue, she's going to be in there too with some fabulous drawings. Anyways, so for the December issue, the future, let's contemplate where our heads go when we think about the future. And where can they go? So let's see now here. Do I have an... Okay, let's just sort of observe the future, the whole concept of future. And I'm going to invite you to write down some thoughts and maybe even scribe down a little something. The whole idea behind any prompt is, where does your mind go? And whoops, where my mind went, oh, there you go. Where my mind went was the future. It deals with time, right? So we have a present, and then everything forward of the present is the future. So it could be 5 seconds, it could be 5 years, it could be 5 centuries, who knows? You can also be in the past and think about what the future was like that. So just as a quick thing, I mean, what would your future look like if your childhood plan of becoming a fireman panned out? I mean, that's kind of a cool thought right there. So that's, you know, you can start to think about how you want to approach the future. So go ahead, take a few minutes, jot down, or take a minute. I'm not going to give that much time because it is the live. But take a minute, scribe something down, just jot down some notes, and then we're going to come back to actually starting to develop a story from it. Okay, so I'm going to just grab myself another sip. Apparently, I need a lot of sips today. Okay. Something in the air. The cats were all antsy. I guess I'm antsy too. Okay. I get my writing set up. Okay. Now let's see here. I'm going to just come over here for a second and scroll to see. Here we go. All right. Let's come back to here. Okay. So what it is that we've got some sort of observation and starting to work on the scribing of our observation of the future. Think about what you would like to do. Do you want it to be fiction? Do you want it to be nonfiction? Because you can play with the future as a fictional thing, and that's really easy to see. You can go nonfiction. One of the ideas that I had for writing was the fact that in the quantum world, space and time are illusory. Time runs backwards. And so what is past, what is future? They're not well defined. And so you can write something, some sort of nonfiction about that. Do you want it to be short? Do you want it just to be like punchy, just get to the thing? Do you want it to be long? Do you want to have like a long drawn out thing? Most stories are about what is happening now and then what is going to happen in the future. What's my plan? What's my this? You know, this is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I mean, you talk about a classic 1980s movie that was all about like trying to set up the perfect day. Do you want it to be prose, which is just like what you typically find in any given novel? Do you want it to be poetry? Right? Do you want it to have rhythm and meter and more evocative language? Do you want to have some combination of prose and poetry? I've just been introduced, thank you, John Bloner Jr., to prose poetry. And that is something that's very, very, very new. And so I will not be presenting it today, but I look forward to a live stream where I do. Today, I'm going to work towards a 100-word story because I think it's going to provide a nice, short, bite-sized chunk of story, a bit of punch. Okay. So with that, I am going to move over to my working pages. I'm just going to talk to the room real quick and go to my page that I set up. There we go. And now we come back to share screen. Excellent. Oh, I forgot to change my font size. I like it to be a little bit smaller. Okay. Good, good. Now for this exercise, the 100-word story, you notice I've got the word counter on the bottom of the screen. That is going to be super helpful because I don't have to sit here and like count as I'm like, you know, the one is. The word counter does it for me. And let's face it, it's approximate, right? I don't, like if you were hyphenating a word or something, it doesn't get into the, is this a word, is that a word? It's just like, one glob of letters stuck together, that's a word. And that's really all we need it to be. Okay. Okay, so for doing this 100-word story, and I did some observations leading up to this, and I mean, I spent probably, I don't know, even a week just sort of playing with ideas. And what was coming back around and again was the concept of the bucket list, right? Because that is a plan for the future. What is it that I want to do? I'm here now, and there is this list of things that I would like to do. I haven't done yet. They're going to be done in the future. So it's just perfect. Fits. Okay. So we can go into the bucket list in any number of ways. I thought, wouldn't it be kind of fun to look at a bucket list of something that is extremely short-lived? So I took the time to say, what is it that is the most short-lived creature on the face of the planet? And it is the mayfly. Now, the mayfly, whoops, it'd be nice if I spelled it right. The mayfly has a lifespan of like 5 minutes to a day, tops, right? So 1 day tops, live or living. And it has roughly, or up to, because I just looked this up to 1 year developing, right, in the pupa stage or whatever it is that they go through. Okay, so these are our ideas, my ideas for doing this particular story. I'm going to delete them off in a second so my word count is correct. So how do we approach the mayfly and whatnot? Well, we can do it from the point of view of the mayfly as it sort of prepares for its day. We can also do it from the perspective of, say, like someone who is studying mayflies. We can do it from like a nature documentary. And I thought that that was actually maybe a great way to sort of start, to have like a David Attenborough kind of feel, like the mayflies. Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of give that a start. And before I get to the start, actually, because I just remembered, I only came up with this just a few seconds ago. It was the adage amongst mayflies, and pretty much everywhere, plan for the day, live as if it's 5 minutes. Plan for the day, live as if it's 5 minutes. I mean, that how much mayfly specific. I like it. Okay, so there's sort of my ending adage for mayflies. Okay. So when we have a like a documentary, we can just sort of jump right in. Let's see now here. Scientists. Now it's a 100-word story, so I need to keep this really short. So I need to just focus on the important details. Now, I am going to put in some, they may get deleted off, and I've been chatting a long time, so I've been kind of painting myself into a time corner here, but we'll just see how it goes. So I'm just going to go ahead and scientists at the Institute for Insects. Recently discovered that the mayfly, the creature whose life span is maximum 1 day and is often only minutes, plan their time outside the pupa. Oh, I spelled that right. Outside the pupa, plan their time outside the pupa thoroughly. I'm having a hard time spelling thoroughly. Thoroughly. There we go. It's thought that the instructions for how to develop their individual bucket lists, because let's go ahead and just put the bucket list in there. To develop their individual bucket lists is encoded in their DNA. Further study. Let's see. Is encoded in their DNA. I want to say something more. Let's see here. Only time will tell. This is fun because we were still playing with the whole concept of future. Only time will tell how this encoding evolves. Okay. All right, so that's sort of the end of our little David Attenborough minute. So let's have the perspective of the mayfly. And I kind of like to play around with the fact that science so often comes out with the pronouncements, it is this way, and it is only this way, and it shall never be any other way, and it turns out that they're completely wrong. So let's just kind of play with that, because it's fun. I like it. So we're going to have a mayfly who is developing, and we're going to have the mayfly just in the pupa, right? That we know they're there. So let's come up with I'm just going to come up with a name here, Marty Mayfly. It doesn't need to be elaborate. It doesn't really need to be clever. I find a lot of fiction, fantasy fiction in particular, you get these extremely elaborate names, and it's hard to follow. And it's hard, like if you're reading it out loud, it's really hard to pronounce. Why not just keep it simple and direct, and then let the action do the work, as opposed to this elaborate name that you've come up with. Just a thought. Marty Mayfly woke. Let's see. Woke one morning, realizing he could read the filaments, filaments of vessels. Now, I don't really know much about pupa, so I'm just going to say that there's filaments and vessels and whatnot. If I really wanted to get a little bit more accurate, I would go and Google it and get exact or more exacting language, more exacting technical terms. I'm just making it up right now, so do not take this to your biology class and claim that it's true because I said it. No. Okay. Marty Mayfly woke one morning realizing he could read the filaments of vessels in his warm and safe encasing. And what he read was this. And now, here is our bit plan for the day. Live as if it's 5 minutes. Oh, there we go. Okay. Marty, let's see. I think we're just going to have sort of like a quiet acknowledgement. Marty nodded to himself. In agreement, and mayfly solidarity. Okay. And wow, this is pretty cool. Okay, so I have sort of done a bit more editing in this scribing than I would normally, encourage anyone to do who's first going through the process of learning to write or doing writing. I've done well over 1,000 of them, so I edit very quick. And in this case, because I'm trying to do a 100-word story in a very short period of time, no matter the fact that I thought about it for a good long while, I thought I would just, here we go. Anyways, we're at 101 words. That feels really, really good. Now, I don't think this asterisk counts as a word, but let's just check. Nope, it doesn't. It's smarter than... Okay. So let's read it through and see what our points are and see if there's anything that we need to tweak, or does it kind of work on its own, and do we just need to maybe shorten up a thing to get it down to 100 words. So scientists at the Institute for Insects recently discovered that the mayfly, the creature whose lifespan is maximum 1 day and is often only minutes, plan their time outside the pupa thoroughly. Okay, I got lost in that. Let's make sure that this works. Scientists at the Institute for Insects recently discovered that the mayfly plans its time. Make sure that we've got agreement between our noun and our verbs. That the mayfly plans its time outside the pupa thoroughly. Okay, there we go. That works. It's thought that the instructions for how to develop their individual bucket lists is encoded in their DNA. Only time will tell how this encoding evolves. Okay, and we know that that's wrong because Marty Mayfly woke one morning realizing he could read the filaments of vessels in his warm and safe encasing. Now, that's the DNA. And what he read was this: plan for the day, live as if it's 5 minutes. Marty nodded to himself in agreement, and Mayfly solidarity. Okay, so I'm going to take out the 5, and I'm just going to spell it out because the numeral was a little jarring. So spelling it out, that makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to take the Mayfly solidarity because we know that he's a Mayfly. We don't really need that. So Marty nodded to himself in agreement and solidarity. So he agrees with it, and also all the other Mayflies are going to be doing it too. I'm in. Okay, now we're not really getting into how does Marty know about all these other Mayflies and blah, 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 blah. Don't really need to get into that. You only got 100 words to get an idea out there, and I really like it. And the big idea that comes from all this: plan for the day, live as if it's 5 minutes. Good Mayfly words to live by. And I think this is just a sort of a great place to stop right here. Now, for a lot of you, in fact, I mean, this should have been me as well. Normally, you're at 115, 120, 125 words, and you're just like, I don't know what I need to slice out. That's where you go in and you start finding what is it that is the important bit. What is it that I really want to highlight? So in here, I highlighted the science view versus the actual view, the nature view, right? So we've got the two pieces, and then we've got that highlight for a plan for the day, live as if it's 5 minutes. Everything else can be in flux. We can change that, the name of the institute to be longer or shorter. We can put in more information or less information about how a pupa develops or what it knows or anything, right? All those explanation types of things, you put enough in there to make it believable, but you leave out all the stuff that you don't need. And that will hopefully help you to cut down the amount of verbiage that is in your story, and you can get it to that 100-word mark. If you don't reach the 100-word mark, that is okay too. because the 100-word mark is basically a guideline to aim you towards a particular length of story, which is going to give you a particular, some particular attributes, right? It's short, it's punchy, there's not a lot of stuff to grab onto. It's like a bite-sized little morsel of story that you can just kind of read and chuckle or feel, you react to, right? If it's longer, that's okay. If it's shorter, that's okay. But the 100 words is just, it's one of those little things. It's just like, 100. It's an easy number to remember. And it just, yeah. There we go. Those are my thoughts on the 100 words. Okay. So with that, I'm going to come back to talking to the room and putting my keyboard away. And actually this whole thing just went a whole lot faster than I thought. And that's one of the benefits of taking your time observing. Because if you observe and you toy, you toy with the idea, you play with the idea, you suppose and you play what if, all those questions that we brought up in that prior live stream when I was talking about the Neil Gaiman bit that he wrote, where do ideas come from, and all those questions. And so as you tease out details and you tease out what is it that's interesting you, because it's really all about interesting you, right? As you come up with that, you more and more focused, so your scribing is more focused, and then your editing, actually it takes less editing to get you to the part, or to the state of the piece that you become happy with. And that is when you know that you're done. Okay, so now I'm going to stop talking about this, and I'm going to move us over to our breathing and our stretching. I need to take a breath because I've been talking too much. Here we go. Breathing in. Stretch. Ooh, just want to pop. Oh. Okay. Good. Okay. I've got a half hour left. I know my pantser's not going to take that long, but I'm going to do my pantser first, and then we'll see. Maybe we'll do a little bit at the end. Okay, so let's take me to my notes, my pantser section. And while I'm doing this, I'm just going to toss out there. How's everyone doing? Is it all making sense? How did your story go? Yeah, throw something out there in the chat. I did not ask people to talk in the chat. I started off a little tense, a little nervous, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I've settled in. Maybe it's just I didn't have enough coffee in me and something. Okay. Here we go. Let's move over to now we're ready. Good. Submissions, acceptances. And I'm referring to acceptances in two ways. One is having a piece accepted into a publication, and the other is acceptance within yourself. And these are both vital parts of the whole writing, submitting process. It's beyond just the technical skill of writing. So let's talk about this real quick. So acceptance into publications. So when we are putting together work for a publication, so I'm going to pause for 1 second here. So the 15-second delay that we have means that comments come in a little bit late. So Celeste, thank you so much. The comment about hearing about the thought process Super appreciated. Thank you. Okay. Coming back to acceptances. When we are working with acceptance into a publication, so that's the kind of the capital A that I'm going with, is first off, when you submit work, be respectful. The publisher or the people that you are over to here. Here we go. You don't need to see my notes. I can just read off the screen. When you're submitting in, publishers are people, and much like every other person on the planet, they love the please and the thank you and the humility and the humbleness and the. You cannot walk in and just say, you know, I'm the greatest poet that's ever walked the earth. My work deserves to be in your publication. Doesn't work. Does not work that way. The publisher, they have their readers to think about. They have their publication to think about. They have all sorts of concerns and considerations, and you are one amongst many who is submitting into any given publication. And I mean, there's a bazillion publications out there. So keep in mind that, you know, with the bazillion of publications and a bazillion of people who are submitting to them, there's an awful lot of stuff going on in the world of creative writing and art. So be respectful. And the great thing about being respectful is it also enables a conversation. You can develop a relationship. And when Moss Piglet first appeared on my publishing radar, all thanks to my lovely lady love, Alicia, who is monitoring chat, she, you know, it was just like kind of like, hey, here's this possible thing. And because I've submitted a couple of times, I've been talking to the publisher, John Bloner, off and on through email, and it's wonderful because we get to, you know, talk back and forth and explore some ideas and, like, you know, who he is and who I am, and it's wonderful. So it's not now even just me submitting in to be published, but it's also like a chat as well, and it's a lovely thing. And with that development of the relationship, that enables you to do things like to ask questions like, what is it your publication would really benefit from? Is there something that I could maybe do that your publication is looking for? And in Moss Piglet's case, John came back and said, have you ever heard of prose poetry? And my answer was no. But because he said he's looking for prose poetry, and I am open and willing to explore prose poetry, I've started writing prose poetry. I'm not going to share any today, because actually, I'm gonna take that back. I'm going to, let's see if I can call this up real quick. And I may very well submit this, but this is my first prose poetry. So I'm just going to, I'll just read it. No, I'm going to show it because prose poetry, actually, you need to see it in order to really appreciate it. So that's sort of the thing, is it's a love child between the two. And I'm off on a terrible tangent in Pantser, and it makes total sense because it's Pantser. Okay, this is called resolutions. Resolutions sound like governmental pronouncements. Whereas a need exists, and whereas a solution can be effected for so long as fleeting interest keep it alive, and whereafter something else will come along to effect a spasm of effort in an alternate direction, we resolve to blah, blah, blah. But residing within my psyche, courtesy of a Dear John response, not that kind, I assure you, a resolution of creative revolution, nurturing this discovery of prose and poetry's love child, giving voice to a sudden rush of imagination's whirlwind travel blog updates. A hurricane of thought fragments. I grab at them as they blow past, catch a pitiful few. This new and unruly form refuses definition, ironically, as if by definition. As rigid rule seeks direction and guidance, afraid this newfound creation will be as appreciated as pestilence, guideline sways happily. An old dog and new tricks. Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more. So that came about because of a relationship with a publisher. And I couldn't be happier that that is the case. So when you're publishing in, when you're submitting in, approach people like they're people and be respectful of what they're doing. Now, acceptance within self. So I just read the first prose poem piece I have ever written. It, in terms of prose poetry, it may be a total mess. It may not be. It may be really good. I really don't know. I'm not sure what prose poetry is supposed to be. In fact, that's what I was referring to in that prose poetry, that it sort of refuses definition and who knows what it's really supposed to be. But I have accepted that work as my own creative thought, my own voice going into this space of prose poetry. So in thinking about that, writing that piece and then sharing it here to the world, because I mean, it's going to be out there on YouTube. And so in 10 years time, there may be someone who's going to like, what's prose poetry? Oh, there's this guy, Parz. You have to create for yourself. You are your first reader. You are your first editor. You are the creator. You have to write for yourself. Write for everyone else second. If I really didn't enjoy prose poetry, I wouldn't be using it as a medium to express thoughts and feelings and ideas. I'd be going to haiku or 100-word stories or the other things that I know and I'm familiar with and comfortable with. But I'm comfortable enough with this prose poetry that here you go. Enjoy. Take it for what you will. I wrote it for myself first. And I enjoy doing what I do. I enjoy writing all of these different ways. All of these different things, all of these different thoughts, all of these giving voice to the inanimate, doing crazy things. It's just fun. And lastly, it helps if you can find your tribe. Now, my primary tribe member is on chat right now. That's maybe that way. I'm not sure. One way or the other, but it's down. She is, yeah. So it's fantastic having someone who you can banter with and trade ideas with and then collaborate with. And so if you can have someone in your life like that, great, because it really helps. If you don't have someone in your life, go out and find somebody, which leads me back around to free expressions. I am going to bring the free expressions up again, because this is a place where you can find your tribe. This is a place where you can find acceptance. This is a place where you can be yourself. Because after all, if I'm willing to put out there my first prose poetry, you can read your stuff to me too, and you're not going to get judged. You're going to be supported. You can put your artistic ideas out there and you will not be judged. You will be supported. And that brings me over to our drawing expressions haiku. A creative space, holistically supportive. Please like, share, subscribe. And really with that, I think that is sort of where I can end it today, nice and comfortably with these thoughts. I am going to bring up, whoops, let's get that out of there. The drawing expressions email we have changed from info@drawingXpressions into drawingXpressions@gmail. It is in the, I think it's in the Linktree. If it's not, it will be shortly. I'm not remembering if I changed it or not. But anyways, if you share on social media, there is the tag. And so with that, thank you ever so much for being a part of this hour, for being a part of Drawing Expressions in whatever form that is, whether it's just simply this live stream or this replay, anything and everything that we do. Thank you for being part of what we do. And so with that, I am going to close. I will look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, I hope you have a great one.